AITA for sending my child to my ex in thrift store or cheap clothes. My ex-wife has our child every weekend, and I have them during the week. I make more than my ex, and I make it a point to have nice clothes for our child at our house. I have primary custody, so no child support is paid to her. I'll call my ex Jen and my kid Alex. When I pick up Alex from Jen apartment, I wash the clothes they were wearing and sent them back to Jen when she sees Alex on the weekend. Usually put them in Alex's backpack. They are not great clothes, kind of cheap or really worn. My issue started when Alex's clothes that they are wearing when I drop them off, Jen would disappear. I didn't really notice it at the beginning, but when the closet started to get empty, I noticed. I asked Jen where the clothes were going and if she could send them back. It caused so many problems. She went to her lawyer and claimed they were her clothes that she bought and I have no right to them. I had to pull out all my receipts of me buying them. It was a whole thing which cost way too much money because our lawyers were involved. In the end, she was told to return the clothes. After that, I have been dressing our child in the clothes she sent him to me, in which don't look the best, or in thrift clothes that I don't care about disappearing. I got a text about how I am cruel for doing this, and I should just let her keep Alex's clothes I sent him in because I make more money. I told Jen if she wants nicer clothes to go buy some, she has the money. She makes decent money. I find it ridiculous that she tried to steal his whole closet when she makes choices to go on vacation. Instead of buying nice clothes for our kid, I was ranting to my sister and she called me petty and to just give her some clothes. Should I? Any common questions? Edit Alex Donst Care I have asked. 11, my kid told me, when it's time to head home, the only clothes are the crappy ones. The ones he put to get washed just vanish. Example, nice coat he wore everywhere. Time to head back, it wasn't there, and Jen rushed him out the door without a coat. Sometimes they show up again, sometimes not at the house. Alex just said that he won't go to school in those types of clothes, which is fine, because Alex Dunst. I get Alex back before Monday school. Jen drops him off at 8 on Sunday. Also, it's not like Alex is going out on the weekend to see friends, because Jen refuses to drive Alex. That is why Alex couldn't do the sport he wanted. Because Jen refused to drive him to weekend practices or games? Completely different issue. Yes, I am trying to get full custody. We wouldn't be here if she was just normal and set back clothes. What happens to the clothes? Some stayed at the house, some were giving to family or sold online. Others came back damaged. Don't know if they were messed up before or after she was told to give them back. NTA had a friend who SX was selling the quality clothes of the kids to supplement his income. It stopped when she started sending them over to shirts and shorts they painted themselves. The kids loved the outfits and the ex wanted something fancy for an event with his new GF. When my friend reminded him he had certain outfits because they had worn them over holidays and they didn't return to her house, he went silent. From then on, the quality stuff stayed at her house because it risked disappearing at his. Nah. To anyone who has never dealt with this issue, it definitely sounds petty, and maybe it is. However, it is very frustrating when outfits you spent good money on, and maybe are your favorites, keep disappearing and are replaced with cheap, stained clothes. I understand your pain. I've had $55 Disney sweatshirts disappear and yet been hounded for a $6.97 Walmart shirt. The good news is that by the time the children are teenagers, they mostly pick their own stuff and you don't have to worry about it. NTA. Wash the clothes he was sent home in and send them back to their mom in those same clothes. If she wants nicer clothes for them, then she can buy them. NTA. My ex-husband used to do this all the time. With everything, I would buy new sneakers. I would pick them up but they would be wearing flip-flops. They weren't allowed to wear flip-flops to school I was picking them up from his job to bring them directly to school. The sneakers were at his house, which was 30 miles away in the wrong direction. I would have to run home, get their old sneakers bring them to school late. Anything nice and slash or new that they wore to his house would never be seen again. It gets really old when you go out buy them a bunch of new clothes, never see those clothes again. If he bought them clothes, they weren't allowed to wear them home. I started sending them back in the same clothes that they came in. The problem went away when they reached an age where they were able to advocate for themselves, that they didn't want to leave the SpongeBob shirt that their cousin gave them or the jeans with butterfly bedazzling that they got with their birthday money. It's not being petty to return the same energy to prevent your child from losing their belongings every other weekend. Anyone who is saying YTA has not had to deal with this type of thing. I was beyond over the send child over and just bought high-quality pants and get back too tight, too short clothes routine I had with my ex. I wouldn't send my child to their other parents' house in ripped or ill-fitting clothes, but I'd definitely send her back in clothes that were bought from a thrift store, secondhand shop, or Walmart. I didn't want to ever have my child made fun, so I'm not in agreement with you sending your child back in ripped clothing. So I'd suggest going to a store, like a kid's consignment shop, and have a section of clothes your child wears back to their other parent. Well, there you have it. Drop your verdict in the comments. And hey, if you're enjoying this, hit subscribe. We post stories like this every week. Whipped for asking my BF to eat vegetarian for a shared meal. I'll try to keep this as unbazed as possible because I'm not sure if I'd be in the wrong or not. So here it goes. I do not eat meat. My BF does. I am completely okay with him eating whatever he wants to eat. And normally it is fine, but recently I feel bad that we don't ever seem to share a nice dinner. He recently brought home ingredients for a hot pot, and I would really like to share the hot pot, but he insists on adding meat into it. I'd rather cook the meat separately for him to eat with the meal and am willing to help cook it or whatever, but he insists he has to eat it with meat and can eat a meal without it, specifically in the pot. I asked him about it and he shot the possibility down very fast. I would really like to share a meal with him, but I suppose I feel a bit conflicted in asking for him to eat it separately, just so that I can be comfortable to share the meal. Am I being stupid here and an ass for it? I really don't want to be entitled and stuff, but I also would really like to enjoy a meal with my boyfriend and eat the same thing. I tried talking about it and he just sort of blew me off, so I am not entirely confident if I am being rude or not. TLDR BF wants meat in hot pot. I'd like to have meat on the side so we can share. BF says it's a non-starter. Update. We had a nice little talk. I didn't mention this whole Reddit thingy, but it gave me a lot of insight into cooking meat, and we're going to try it again in the future, with meat as a side option, as a pretty reasonable compromise. It was a grand talk, and he didn't realize how much I like to share meals, and now that everything is hopefully set up for a good future. Hooray for problem solving and happy endings. Thanks everyone for the insight, comments, and helpful suggestions. GT. He recently brought home ingredients for a hot pot, and I would really like to share the hot pot, but he insists on adding meat into it. The guy specifically went out and shopped for a special meal that he planned to make himself. It's not unreasonable that he doesn't want to cater to your tastes. I mean, he planned it, paid for it, and is going to cook it. If he was asking you to cook, I would feel differently. I would really like to share a meal with him, but I suppose I feel a bit conflicted in asking for him to eat it separately, just so that I can be comfortable to share the meal. It's fine for you to ask. It's fine for him to decline. Not every meal needs to be shared, and it sounds like you could just make your own pot of broth instead of trying to share his while kicking his meat out. GT, I really didn't want to be entitled and stuff, but I also would really like to enjoy a meal with my boyfriend and eat the same thing. The problem is, you want to eat the same thing, but that means he has to eat what you want, on a meal he planned and bought and cooked. How is that fair that you get to show up and demand that he changes his dinner so you can enjoy it? GT tried talking about it, and he just sort of blew me off. It sounds like he clearly said no, which isn't blowing you off. It's declining to give you what you want. GTBF wants meat in hot pot. I'd like to have meat on the side so we can share. BF says it's a non-starter. So make your own hot pot? Info, why can't you enjoy a meal together just because you're not eating the same thing? ITTE, why does it have to be hot pot? I am a meat eater who really enjoys eating vegetarian food too. The point of the hot pot is to cook everything together so the flavor bleeds into everything. If you want to have a meal together, suggest a night where you eat Indian or Thai, which have incredible vegetarian dishes. Honestly, you definitely chose the wrong meal to ask this about. There are many other meals where a meat and a veggie version are just as good as each other, or the meat can be separate on the side. Hot pot is not one of them. The fact he had already planned his hot pot, bought the ingredients, was probably looking forward to, and which you then tried to hijack, made him dig his heels in. This should have been a conversation without a specific meal in mind. I feel like there's a lot of missing info here. It sounds like he specifically went out and planned to do a hot pot meal. It doesn't sound like he's just saying no to eating a fully vegetarian meal together another time, aside from this specific meal he planned. Well, there you have it. Drop your verdict in the comments. And hey, if you're enjoying this, hit subscribe. We post stories like this every week.